word, Chris.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good.
Okay, so it's working. I am calling the meeting for June 11th, 2020 to order. If everybody would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so then mute that guy, and
Okay, hold on.
then hopefully we'll be good.
Okay, can everyone still hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
it's very light though.
very light. Okay.
Scott, yours is very light. Art and John's are very good.
So it must be our microphones.
Could be. All right. Madam Mayor, can you hear me? Okay, we can't hear you.
There we go. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
If I could get Linda to do roll call. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Andrusik.
Here.
Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Here.
And Mayor Sierra.
Here. Thank you. Do we have any reordering of the agenda tonight?
No reordering of the agenda.
Okay. Then we move on to public comments. This is for anybody who wants their 3 minutes to compliment, complain, suggest, or discuss an item on the agenda. I do have quite a few public comments, so I'm going to start reading them. If anybody listening to this wants to get a public comment in, they would need to send it to Linda at cityofbuellton.com. Is that correct, Linda?
It's Linda R. at
Linda R. at cityofbuellton.com.
Got it.
Thank you. Okay, so our first public comment is from Mark Preston. It says, per the summarized Buellton signage regulation, all political signs are specifically limited to 60 days before an election and 7 days after. See attached page 2, which is our city ordinance and rules, which do indeed say political signs can go up 60 days before an election and removed within 7 days after an election. Political signs, in the 35 years, I have never seen such a blatant disregard for this common sense regulation. For example, the 60-foot square foot signs at the Masa and McMurray. It is sad that you have to chase down the Andy Caldwell team, but that you must do. Please note, this is not about the Andy Caldwell campaign. I would be writing this note regardless of who the sign endorsed, and he's correct, there's only one sign that's still hanging. Section 5405.3 of the State of California Outdoor Advertising Act. A temporary political sign is a sign which encourages a particular vote in a scheduled election, is placed no sooner than 90 days prior to a scheduled election, and is removed within 10 days after that election, is no larger than 32 square feet. By random coincidence, I ran into Ben Hernandez. He's your nominal code enforcement officer. I asked him if he had seen my note dated June 3rd, CC Scott Wolf and Mayor Sierra, and he said yes. I asked what he was going to do about it. He said nothing. He offered no explanation for his lack of action, but was very clear he was going to do nothing. I am requesting a written response to my inquiry. It has been 8 days as of June 11th. That's the first public comment. Number 2 is from Larry Bishop, who says, this is about the CCCP proposal to Buellton. Dear Mayor Sierra and City Council, I urge you to approve the City of Buellton joining the rest of Santa Barbara County in the proposed Community Energy Cooperative Agreement. Our town will profit from the reduced electrical rates and increased power buyback rates for residents who produce their own electrical power. About 50% of CCCP, aka the Monterey Bay Community Power customers, buy power from the CCCP and 50% buy from PG&E. Buellton residents deserve to have a choice of where they get their power. Competition is good, and CCCP can provide cleaner energy at a lower price than PG&E can. Please approve the city's union with CCCP as soon as possible. Thank you, Larry Bishop. This one is from Amy Woolslaw. Dear City Council, I am a resident for the past 11 years. I believe that our city is a great city and can be so much more. To this end, I believe it is in our best interest to improve our environmental footprint and be as green as we can. Accordingly, I support the CCCP project and request you vote in favor. Sincerely, Amy Woolslaw. I have one from James Villaro. Dear Buellton City Council, please join Monterey Bay Community Power. By joining Monterey Bay Community Power, the city of Buellton would be helping Santa Barbara County move to renewable energy. This action would result in lower energy-related greenhouse gas emissions. The city of Buellton and its residents will save money on electric bills and will make more money selling excess solar power to Monterey Bay Community Power instead of PG&E. Thank you for your time and consideration, James Villaro. This one is from Kelly Gray. I support the city of Buellton joining the CCCP. It will be good for Buellton and it will be good for the environment. Thank you, Kelly Gray. That's all I have for public comment. Linda, do we have any other public comment items that have come in?
No, ma'am.
All righty, then I am closing public comment and moving
Madam
on.
Mayor,
Yes.
I heard you say Kelly Gray. I was thinking of another man, a different, like Kerry Gray was his name. He retired from Vandenberg, so
Different person.
I stand corrected. Yes.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to our consent calendar. We have the minutes of May 28, 2020, regular city council meeting. List of claims to be approved and ratified for payment to date for fiscal year 2019-20. Resolution number 20-18, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, acknowledging the receipt of and ordering the filing of the annual statement of investment policy for fiscal year 2020-21 with the City Council. The contract extension with Cosmont Companies for Economic Development Services. Number 5 is the biannual review of Conflict of Interest Code. Number 6 is the approval of bond release for Flying Flags. Number 7 is the acceptance of the Highway 246 and Sycamore Drive. Whoops, have we got somebody not on mute?
That's our house phone. Sorry.
Okay. Highway 246 Sycamore Drive Pedestrian Improvement Project. Before we have any questions or a motion from council, I do have one public comment for that. So if it's okay, I'm going to open public comment first for our consent calendar. This one is regarding agenda item 7, the acceptance of the Highway 246 Sycamore Drive Pedestrian Improvement. And this is from Len Fleckenstein. To the Buellton City Council, I have the following 4 comments on agenda item 7 regarding Highway 246 and Sycamore Drive Crossing Project. At the council's May 14 meeting, several residents expressed concerns about the dangers in crossing Highway 246 at Sycamore Drive, even with the new pedestrian project. I won't repeat those still applicable concerns today. In May, the Santa Barbara Council of Governments, SBCAG, issued a Santa Ynez Valley traffic circulation and safety study, which analyzed 6 intersections in Buellton, including Highway 246 and Sycamore Drive. The City Council should quickly schedule a presentation and hearing on this study as it pertains to Buellton. The City Council should direct staff to develop a plan and schedule for addressing the 6 problem intersections in Buellton. And regarding the Sycamore Drive and Highway 246, I continue to advocate for a traffic signal, but the council should at a minimum work with Caltrans and heed the SBCAG study recommendations on page 28 for reconfiguration of the highway, restudy of an appropriate speed limit along SR 246, and features such as a raised medium, widened sidewalks, and adjusted parkways, which all would be absolutely wonderful. But we have problems getting Caltrans to agree to any of those. Anyway, this is Mr. Fleckenstein's comment on item number 7. I just had one question about number 5 myself, the biannual review of conflict of interest code. Greg, should we answer questions and then move to approve the whole consent calendar, or should we pull the items that we have questions on and approve the rest first? What works better, Greg?
I would pull items you have questions on, approve everything, and then deal with the items one by one.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to pull number 5 and number 7, I guess. Gentlemen, do you have any questions? Or is there any items you'd like to pull? Any motion to approve the rest of the items?
I would make the motion to approve the rest of the items with the.
Items 1 through 4 and 6 then?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have John Sanchez who made the motion and Art Mercado, Vice Mayor, seconded it. Linda?
Okay, Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much. Linda, my question on number 5 is the conflict of interest code is, it said it went to city agencies. So are you saying it would go to any agency that deals with the city? I hate to say this, in 12 years, I don't remember a conflict of interest code that went out.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. So what it does is we are supposed to give notice to the 2 groups that file 700 forms, which would be the city council and the planning commission groups, and ask them if they have any changes to the conflict of interest code. And Greg can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're supposed to do this every 2 years just so that we're not ignoring it and it's sitting in a drawer. The last time we updated it was when we got rid of the redevelopment agency. I think it was back in, I want to say 2010 or 12, somewhere around there is when we updated it. But other than that,
It was 14.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
thank you very much. I just didn't I didn't quite get who it applied to. So thank you very much.
yeah, just those that fill out 700 forms, and so if any changes get made, we need to update that code.
Got it. Thank you very much. Number 7, the acceptance of Highway 246 and Sycamore Drive. I guess, Rose, we are just accepting that the project that we ordered has been completed, correct?
That is correct.
So we can ask SBCAG to come and give us a presentation on the circulation study that was done through Buellton. We can continue to work with Caltrans. Obviously, the crossing signal at 246 and Sycamore is not foolproof, but tonight we're just accepting that the project that we ordered is completed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then I would go ahead and make a motion to approve items 5 and 7.
Second.
Councilman Andrusik seconded. Linda?
Okay, Mayor Sierra.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, do we have any presentations tonight?
No, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Public hearings, we're moving on to agenda item number 8, resolution number 20-12, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, regarding the commitments and publishing the report required by Central Coast Water Authority, resolution numbers 92-02 and 92-11. Ms. Hess?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of City Council. This is an annual report that's brought to through council and for the public. It is one of our requirements as one of the participants in the State Water Project. As far as CCWA, we're required to adopt the following conditions for the project, which includes the San Ynez Extension, Mission Hills Extension, the Santa Maria Valley Water Treatment Plant mitigation, monitoring, and that each agency will provide a water supply agreement to commit the agencies. So as part of our requirements, we also provide our annual water report, and that's provided to you in the attachment, Exhibit A of the resolution. Title is Water Supply Report in 2020 for the calendar year of 2019. The water supply report is also posted on our city's website. For the past several years that we've been providing this report, we do have them online, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. First of all, are there any questions to Rose regarding this item?
Not at this time.
All right.
No, ma'am.
If not, I open it to public comment. I do have one speaker, one email to read. If anybody listening has a public comment on this, they want to address it to Linda R. at cityofbuellton.com. This one is from Len Fleckenstein. I have the following 3 comments regarding Buellton's annual water supply report. Number 1, I offer my thanks to the Public Works Director for preparing this annual report. Number 2, the City Council should make this report and the information it contains readily available to residents. In my experience, many local residents don't know the actual sources of their drinking water, let alone the status of those supplies. Perhaps there could be a link to the document from the city's Facebook page, a notice on the city website, and a brief article in the Buellton Buzz to help educate residents. And number 3, given the importance of Buellton's groundwater sources and the current analytical work done under State Groundwater Management Act, SGMA, the Public Works Director should schedule periodic presentations to the council with information available to the public regarding the status of that groundwater planning effort. That's from Len Fleckenstein. And I don't have any other public comments. Linda, did we get any in the last minute?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I close.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I was just going to ask Public Works Director Hess if for years we've had a prepared sheet that has been mailed to every customer. I don't know if we don't get a water bill now where we live, but we used to get this. There's a legal sized document. I don't know if Rose could comment. Has that been discontinued, or will it happen maybe it's every other year? But I know we've gotten them several times.
Yes, Councilman.
For public information.
Yes, Councilman Andrusik, that is our consumer confidence report, and that is still prepared annually. It used to be mailed out to every resident, and about 2011, the state changed the requirements so that they can be provided electronically and posted at different locations, such as at the library and at City Hall, and just provided electronically on our city's website. So that's how they have been distributed. But they are still available and updated every year. They're prepared at the end of June, so they are available and ready by July 1st.
Okay, thank you.
Rose, I had one quick question. It says that people can pick this up at the library and City Hall, with the library being closed.
Well, consumer confidence report that Mr. Andrzejczyk was talking about is different from this water supply report. He's
Okay,
talking about a
I
different
thought-
report.
Right. I thought I read in the packet here that this report would be posted at the library and at City Hall.
Right. Yes, you're right. One copy of the report. I'm thinking multiple copies of it, but we can post it. Well, we'll have to post it elsewhere with the library being closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my concern.
Right.
I believe the thought was that the library may be opening here in the next couple weeks, and we may be able to make that available.
Right.
Okay. They're talking about the sidewalk, that they're going to have a sidewalk library. So,
Right.
but I'm hoping it's a little bigger than that too.
Right.
So,
And in any case, it's available on the website, and anyone can contact us, and we can provide them a mailed copy if necessary.
thank you. It really is very thorough. I agree with Len. It was fascinating to see where our water comes from. So, do I have I'm closing public comment, right, Linda? No other comments?
Yes, no other comments.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council, or do I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Okay. Councilman Andrzejczyk, anybody second the adoption of resolution 20-12?
I'll second it.
Art Mercado seconds it.
Okay.
Linda?
Councilmember Andrzejczyk,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Mercado,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Aye.
and Mayor Siva.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we have our council member comments / items. Vice Mayor Mercado, do you have any comments or items you wish to bring back to council?
No comments right now, just that the chamber has rescheduled their meeting for the 22nd, which was supposed to be this next coming week. But they are, due to the coronavirus, opening businesses. And Kathy said they are getting to level 3, which is part of the county and the state level, to open up more things here in Buellton. So things are reopening and going forward right now.
All righty. Thank you. Let's see. Councilman Andrzejczyk, do you have any comments or items you wish to discuss?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. I wanted to take an extra thank you to Chanel and actually to everybody that listened line by line of that huge budget review and to adopt last meeting. She has done an outstanding job. But one of the things that I think each of us individually had gasps at or with were the huge number of dollars that we're spending on certain things. So with that being said, we have currently a work in progress, and we started with what started to be a felt relatively simple repair for the one flagpole. I think it's number 7. And I'm hearing that the recommendation or the forecast for the cost is several thousands of dollars. And I'm, we don't have that adopted, and I would like to have that reviewed. I would like it to come back to council with a full presentation of exactly what we're talking about. And Councilmember Sanchez may have the ability to recall some specifics on the costs, but it was quite large. I think we could probably buy a staff car as a Tesla for the city, cheaper than we can fix that flagpole.
We will get into that when we get to agenda item number 12. That's.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And thank you again, Chanel.
Councilmember King, any comments / items?
No, ma'am.
Councilmember Sanchez, anything from you? Comments, items you want put on the agenda?
No, I saw, thank Rose in reading the report. I did notice that we get credit for the water that goes back from the plant as a water source. And then I also had a question of the new, we should have a new well with the property we bought. And will that be added to irrigation of the part of the park? That's just a question.
Okay, would you like that brought back as an agenda item to get into?
Description.
Yeah. I'd just like to know if we have plans to use the well there. We can use it as a test well as well as the water with the Water Quality Control Board too. But I believe there's a well on the property. I just wanted to check on the status of that.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I can confirm there is a well on the site, that the property that the city has recently purchased. It is currently used for irrigation on the property in question. Staff can evaluate the well itself for suitability for the water's use in other parts of the city's water system. We'll look into that and we'll get back to the City Council with a report at a later date.
Thank you very much. Anything else, Councilman Sanchez?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. I just would like to go back to our public comment. If we could just find out, I know that the city has talked to the party that put the political sign up and they're ignoring the city and the county. I'm just curious what the next step would be if the city could look at that. Whether we take it down and charge them for the time spent, or I don't know. I'd like to know what the next step would be. And the San Ynez Valley Circulation Report, we received at CAG a presentation on it. There'll be another presentation next week at the full CAG body, but it would be nice to have a presentation done for City Council, the results of this 1.5-year study of what they found in Buellton. It was interesting. So I don't think they found everything, but it was interesting to hear what they had to say, and I would like it presented to council. So, and I guess that's it for our council member comments, items. Do we have any written communications?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Committee reports. I know that Vice Mayor Mercado, Council or Chamber Visitors Bureau has been postponed till the 22nd. Does anybody else have a committee report?
Haven't met yet.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
All righty. And Councilman Sanchez, nothing from any committee reports for you?
No.
Okay, thank you. SBCAG met yesterday, and gave a presentation of the San Ynez Valley Circulation Report, which was very interesting. It incorporates all of San Ynez Valley, and a Caltrans long-timer, Eileen Lowe, who has worked with the city of Buellton, announced her retirement. So that's that. You know, you work hard to get to know people and work with these people, and then they just up and retire on you. So anyway, I wish her really well, but we're going to miss her. Okay, we are moving on to business items. Agenda item number 9 is the approval of arts and culture project application, nature-inspired hubcap public art project. Mr. Abello.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and honorable council members. The project before you today, the nature-inspired hubcap public art project, the purpose is to create fun and colorful project that turns used hubcaps, normally trashed in landfills, into nature-inspired artworks that can be displayed throughout Buellton. The applicant, the Wilding Museum of Art and Nature, is partnering with local artists Stacy Thompson, Kiana Beckman, and Carolyn Dorwin to lead this effort to recruit community artists, both young and old, provide them with hubcaps, and along with suggestions for how to decorate them. They also in collaboration with the Buellton Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau to seek out local Buellton businesses that may want to display the finished art and to encourage visitors to explore the various displays. The museum is contributing a $500 equivalence of in-kind staff time and advertising and promotion costs. And you have as attachment 1 the complete project application. In particular, the $3,000 requested will pay for the hubcaps, varnish, installation materials, and then all the preliminary work by the artist to gather materials, recruit community artists, hubcap prepping, varnishing the final hubcaps, and the installation at various locations throughout the city. Any unspent funds are required to be returned to the city. And so the Arts and Culture Committee discussed this project at length and recommended approval. The fiscal impact is $3,000, and remaining in this fiscal year, there is $27,750 in the Arts and Culture project funding. And with that, I am open for questions from council, as well as we are very lucky to have with us Stacy Thompson, one of the artists who on this project. And you recall she was our very first Arts and Culture Committee project artist with the Dia de los Muertos project.
Wonderful. Thank you. Before I open it to public comment, and I do have 2 public comment speakers, are there any questions from council?
No questions.
No questions? I'm going to read these 2. I'm going to open it to public comment. If anybody wants to get a public comment in that's listening to this, it's Linda R. at cityofbuellton.com. I have 2 to read, and then we will get into a discussion. I do have a couple comments, concerns, but let's get into this one first. First one is from Kathy Vreeland at Executive Director of the Visitors Bureau and Chamber of Commerce. She says, "Good afternoon. Sorry this comes so late in your meeting, before your meeting. I wanted to express our support for the Wilding Museum's Hubcap program. I think this will give our visitors and residents something to do and assist with moving people around the business community during this time of recovery. We look forward to supporting the program and have spoken with Stacy from the Wildling and offered to place information and maps of the hubcap locations here at the Visitor Center, as well as hosting a hubcap here in the lobby. Thank you for your consideration. Best, Kathy." Then I have one from Kiana Beckman. "Hello, my name is Kiana Ruth Beckman. I'm a resident of Buellton and one of the hubcap project coordinators, and I'm writing to briefly voice my support of the project. I have a background in art history, creative writing, and museum studies, and will be attending SMFA at Tufts next year for an MFA. And I have some experience planning interactive art installations. Community art provides framework for community conversations. I think it's important to encourage reflection on creative upcycling and to celebrate the majesty, wisdom, and character of our local natural environment. Involving an interactive component like a scavenger hunt map or rotating installation invites community engagement and would provide activities for families and friends. Involving local businesses in the installation could result in more collaboration between businesses and the artistic community and could encourage patrons to engage with local economy as they tour the art installation. I'm excited to support this project and the work of Stacy Ott-Demingot at the Wildling Museum and Stacy Thompson. I hope you feel similarly, Kiana." Linda, do we have any other public comments in?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I'm going to close public comment
Mayor?
and open it up. Yes.
I'm sorry, I just,
No.
Ms. Thompson is here attending the meeting, and I just wanted to make sure that she didn't have a comment to add into the public comments before we moved on.
Thank you very much. Stacy, you did a beautiful job with our Dia de Muertos. Do you have anything you'd like to add to this discussion?
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to consider this project. I don't know what else to add other than I think that people need creative outlet right now, and I think it comes at a good time. It'll give families and kids something to do, and and involve the businesses, and we can work together, and it's a good time to make art.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, City Manager, for reminding me too. Okay, I'm going to bring it back to council. I guess my concern is this: we have a Buellton Arts and Culture Fund, and we invite anybody from our community, from the Valley, from the state, anywhere who wants to help create wonderful art experiences for the city of Buellton. My concern is that this is a Valley-wide presentation, and I kind of thought that the Buellton Arts and Culture stayed in Buellton. So I don't know if the council wants to go ahead with this, if they want to limit it to Buellton businesses, Buellton locations, or if they want to open it up and say that we will provide financial support for any of the artwork provided in Buellton, and if people want to go out of that the other communities can support that too. I don't know. It just seemed like first we don't have a definitive list of where the hubcaps are going, and I like the hubcap idea. I think Stacy's right. I think art's really important right now. That's my comment. Does anybody else have any other comments? Am I way out of line?
No. You're
Madam Mayor?
logical.
No. I do have a comment.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, it's kind of quirky, and I think right now we need something quirky. It's kind of like Gumball Alley and some of the weird things in San Luis. When I went to Cal Poly and did, as a freshman, you kind of take that tour of San Luis Obispo. It gives it's an outlet, and I think right now, with the whole things going on, it'd be a good outlet for it, and I think I would support it. I understand your concerns, and I think if we can not so much narrow it down to just Buellton, but if the chamber gets involved with a map like a scavenger hunt, I think it'd be fun for not only our Buellton residents and our kids here who are looking for something to do now that basically school is out, but to get the Valley enthused about an art project.
So you don't have a problem doing the entire Valley?
No, I think if we can, concentrate in Buellton and do most, depending on what's going to be open right now. I know Kathy said we're getting to stage 3, but here maybe in the next 2 weeks, more things might be open, and we can do a scavenger type viewing of it. But with some other things in Solvang opening and stuff, I think now is a good time to get everybody involved. Wilding is not located here in Buellton, and they're willing to put whether it's $500 in support. So I think it would be something, like I said, it's quirky and give something for the kids to do right now.
Okay. Councilmember Sanchez, any input from you?
Just that we will be sharing with the rest of the Valley, and at some point the Valley will be sharing with us. So it's kind of a work together thing to me, like Art was saying. And I think that it'll come back to us. I thought it was quirky and kind of cute, and kind of a Buellton thing too. So anyway, that was
okay.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
If I might maybe ask Stacy to just weigh in on some of the proposed locations. In my understanding, at least the lion's share of locations is proposed to be the city of Buellton. But Stacy, would you elaborate a little bit?
Sure. What I know for sure right now is that the Botanic Garden has agreed to host an exhibit there. So we would sort of roll out the exhibition in Buellton with certainly several pieces in the Botanic Garden, and then working with Kathy, to bring it to the businesses on Avenue of the Flags. And we would certainly concentrate on Buellton first. That was sort of our plan, and then sort of roll it out from there.
Okay. Thank you. I just worry about this is our taxpayer money. But I noticed you had put Santa Ynez High School, and a lot of our students go to Santa Ynez High. I just wanted, yeah, that was my concern. So thank you. I appreciate that the rollout would be here. Councilman King, any comments?
Yes, ma'am. I kind of see where you're going with this. It's, you know, we are funding this and we have a finite dollar amount, and I can see setting a precedent, and then other people would say, oh, yeah, Buellton's got this art fund, and let's do this art project here, and we'll do some in Buellton and some in here and some in there. And I see where you're coming from. This is Buellton money, and so I'm kind of with you on this. Should possibly, you know, stay within the Buellton city limits, because there could be down the road somebody else says, well, you did the hubcap thing and you guys paid for that. Can you help us out with this? And I don't honestly think that, in my mind anyways, why we did this funding for art in Buellton in the first place, because you could possibly open up Pandora's box.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You want to support your local businesses, and you want to support the residents here. I see where there could be other locations, but then what happens if it goes to Hans Christian Andersen Park and there's some vandalism, and then the city of Buellton is responsible for the vandalism? I don't know. That's my concern. I truly appreciate the hubcap program. I saw the picture, and I talked to Peggy Brierton, who actually saw the hubcap and said it was just beautiful. So that's my only concern. Councilmember Andrusik, do you have anything to weigh in on this one?
You know, I was going to suggest initially that we probably try to set a window, maybe a 60-day period, to have responses and see what the temperature is of the community. Are there people that are interested? Sounds like a project that would be affordable to individuals who like to support ideas. You know, they make donations. They do it at Rotary. They do it for the chamber, for different things that they get behind personally. So I then, with the weigh-in, I was going to ask if what John's opinion is, because he's worked through this from the beginning, and I would tend to support whatever he suggests doing. But I'm happy that it's not like the triangles were, that they had to be done by next Thursday and delivered on the avenue and then sat there forever. So I appreciate that we're ahead of the curve instead of behind it. But I would wonder if trying to put maybe Kyle may have an idea for marketing, you know, putting in the paper, and are there people interested? Are there individual artists, or are there other groups that would like to make this a bigger project?
Well, I think, Councilmember Andrusik, the major work that the three artists involved, including Stacy, is in the recruitment of the community artists. So they would be, the Wildling would, together with these artists, would be putting advertising in the paper, on social media, on their website, to encourage local artists, both, you know, kids, families, adults, to basically adopt the hubcap and decorate it with a nature-inspired theme. And so they're going to be the ones who go and deliver these hubcaps, give suggestions, feedback, assistance, and how to decorate it. And then they will be putting the final varnish on and actually working with Kathy, with the businesses, to install them, hang them, or mount them some way. So, Stacy, is that about right?
Yes, yeah, that's about right. And I can see the installations remaining in Buellton, even if artists from around the valley wanted to participate. I could see it being, you know, in the garden, or maybe on Avenue of the Flags, or somewhere, you know, a public space, if the feeling was that you wouldn't want them to be located outside of Buellton. but it would still potentially include artists from all over, but you would be the host.
Stacy, the artists from all over I think that's wonderful. I like to be inclusive because we have some incredible artists who are in Buellton and who are not in Buellton. So I totally am in favor of getting artists from throughout the valley, throughout Santa Barbara County, anywhere we can find them. And the money, the 3,000 is very minimal, nominal, and that Amy was going to, you are all volunteering to do the in-kind work. That's not the issue. My only issue is taking it out of Buellton. And I just, I wonder if I'm being a little petty, but I'm trying to think of if we're taking taxpayer money for our beautiful arts and culture to provide this to our residents, is it fair to take it out of Buellton? That was my only concern. So the work itself, I think it's funky. I've never heard of hubcap art before, and I'm excited to see it myself. I am not an artist, but I can't wait to see it. So I would be in favor of the project.
Madam Mayor, just to
Yes,
there's no deadline or time commitment date that has to be made. Is that right? I mean, I know they would like to have an answer sooner than later, but we're not under the gun for this one, it seems.
We're not under the gun. I think they, Kyle, am I correct that they'd like to have a check issued before the end of the fiscal year, which is why
sure that would make Chanel and the finance department happy.
Okay, that's a goal. We meet one more time, right?
Is this a big enough issue that we need to carry it over to the next meeting, or can we?
I think we can maybe have a report on it at the next meeting.
Kyle, any suggestions?
I think it sounds like it's a very much within the artist's capability and in their vision to have all of the site locations or displays to remain within the city. Right. The only suggestion I would have is, because the Wildling is the sponsoring applicant, to maybe make an exception and allow them to have some of these beautiful hubcaps hang in their exhibit hall.
Absolutely. Does that work for you, gentlemen?
Yeah, it works for me.
Yep.
Works for me.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So I will make a motion that we approve the hubcap public art project, trying to keep as the hubcaps in Buellton, with the exception of the Wildling Museum, maybe the high school, but to keep the majority in the city of Buellton for the residents to enjoy.
Thank you.
Second. King.
All righty. Linda, you got that?
Got it. Mayor Sierra.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Stacy. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 10, discussion and direction regarding rebranded landscape rebate program, Buellton Beautiful. Ms. Tucker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. As the Mayor mentioned, the item before you is to consider moving forward with a rebranded landscape program that we are calling Buellton Beautiful. Just by way of background, since 2014, the city has implemented a landscape rebate program, which was initially started as with a water efficiency grant. And after that grant expired, the program was subsequently funded locally at $25,000 per year. Continue the program, which was dubbed the Cash for Grass program. We had quite a lot of participation in the program for the first few years, especially during the drought. And participation has dropped off a little bit. So in an effort to try and expand participation and to insert new life into this program, staff is proposing a new program with a new, well, not a new, but an expanded program with a new focus of beautification. And we'll still maintain the basic requirements for water efficiency, but it would focus on beautification, and it would also apply not only to residential properties, but to commercial properties, basically anything that's visible from the street, from public view. So the program would be open to both owners of both residential and business properties. It covers landscape and hardscape improvements visible from the street. And some of the changes that we are considering, we'd like to see in an effort to expand participation, is to increase the maximum rebate to $1,000 per property. It was previously $750. Allowing $2 per square foot for materials and labor, whereas previously it was $1 per square foot for materials only. We'd like to encourage the planting of a new tree where appropriate, and to require environmentally friendly removal of any existing lawns, weed, and debris. And we are anticipating that with this new branding and expanded eligibility, that we would have increased community participation and utilization of the program. And I would like to add that the Green Team has reviewed the program. We've had considerable discussion on this, and their comments are reflected in what is being presented before you. And I would like to note that the application form does reflect a temporary relaxation of prior rebate qualification, which required water customers, it requires applicants to be water customers. But we would relax temporarily the requirement for them to be in good standing for the past 12 months in case there have been any delays or late payments due to the COVID outbreak. And with that, oh yes, so as previously mentioned, the fiscal impact of this, the city has committed $25,000 per year in its budget for the landscape rebate program, and these funds would be utilized moving forward with the program. So with that, the recommendation is that the City Council provide comments and direction to staff for proceeding with the rebranded beautiful landscape program.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Irma about this?
No.
Madam Mayor?
Councilmember King, your question?
Yeah, so this is basically, this is going above and beyond the cash for grass, which I think was a great idea. It's good water saver. So this could be, you just put an application and you get X amount of dollars to fund your landscaping. Is that correct? Is that the way I'm reading that?
It's so much per square yard, or square foot, isn't that right, Irma?
Yes, it is. Allows $2 per square foot for materials and labor costs.
Up to how many square feet?
Well, it's up to 1,000, total 1,000.
It's up to $1,000 per property, so it would be, there would be a limit on how much could be covered by that.
Yeah. So 500, yeah. 500 square feet. So
right.
Basically what this is then is it's taking a good program, the rebate program, and just fine tuning it. That's kind of what the Green Team thought when they did this, that, it didn't make much sense to have backyards done because only the resident would enjoy the backyard. And it still is trying to become more drought resistant. Isn't that correct, Irma?
That's correct. And one of the slight changes that we've made is that in the past, it was ironic that during the drought, we were still requiring that the landscape be living landscape in order for it to be replaced. So when we were in the drought situation, some of the landscapes were suffering a little bit. That was one of the comments that we received from the community. It's hard to participate in the program. So we would give consideration to properly landscaped properties, but that may have suffered a little bit during the drought. So enable property owners to replace those plants that aren't thriving.
Any other questions, Dave?
Well, it's kind of a little vague. I mean, to me, it just sounds like we're willing to throw out $1,000 for somebody to re-landscape their yard. I mean, that's kind of the way I'm reading it.
It's eligible applicant can receive $2 per square foot.
Right, up to $1,000. So basically, if they fill out this application, then we'll give them $1,000 to do the landscaping in their yard. Is that the way I'm reading that, or am I missing something?
Irma, can you help?
Well,
I can clarify too. It's not upfront, Dave, it's a rebate. So they would have to, I mean, if the application is approved, they would do their work and then provide the receipts to request the rebate. But they have to get approval for the project before that could even occur.
But it kind of sounds like the same thing. I mean, I re-landscape my yard and then you give me $1,000.
But the goal of the program is still to remove turf grass from the landscape and replace it with something drought tolerant. Is that correct?
Grass, and if there's unsightly areas of the yard and the front and landscaping that could benefit by being enhanced. So the focus would be on enhancing landscaping that's visible from the street in order to have a more, nicer looking neighborhoods and street frontages.
Right. In the program that we had previously, some people had let their lawns die, and that was their form of water conservation. And a yard like that would not qualify for the cash for grass because there's essentially no more grass. So this would do twofold: allow the resident to remove the grass, albeit dead, replace with more water conserving type landscaping, and same time beautify the neighborhood.
Required for all rebates. 50% landscaping may be covered with gravel, and then landscape drought tolerant plants. Some lawn may be allowed. Suitable planting trees, et cetera. Well, that sounds like we're giving them $1,000 to re-landscape their yard.
We've been doing this green rebate since I think you and I have been on council.
Right.
It's pretty much the same thing, just fine tuning it a little bit more. Irma, can you, or maybe Chanel knows what the balance is? How much has been spent this year on our rebate program?
This fiscal year, nothing has been spent. That's why we took some of that money for the senior center assistance.
Thank you.
So we want to promote it. We want to get people out there fixing up their yards. Some of these yards are in horrible shape. I don't think people know that they can get a rebate on part of it. This $2 a square foot is nice, but it's not going to pay for everybody's yard to get redone. Does anybody else have any questions for Irma or Rose?
Madam Mayor, I'm curious how many deals, if you will, I guess you would just call it deals, or how many contracts have we had with the old program, and what would be the maximum with the 25,000? I'm pretty sure everybody's going to use I'm imagining everyone's used the maximum. So how many people did we have with $750 payouts versus how many would we have now with 1,000? We're going up to 1,000, if I'm reading that right.
Right. So the 1,000 would cover up to 25 properties.
Okay. I'm just curious how that looks next to how many did we have on the old program at 750?
Well,
did we have more than 25?
750 times 30 is 23,500. So a little bit more than 30 people, and we would narrow it down to 25. But as you can see, we're not even getting 10.
In the prior years, we were not going through, at the beginning of the program, we were going through the properties, the budget, but as the years wore on, we were not using the entire amount of the budget. So the participation dropped off, which is why we're considering, turning it into a beautification focus, but still, as Rose mentioned, maintaining the drought tolerant requirement. So I think that is one thing that would set it apart from just somebody coming in and re-landscaping the entire yard.
Well, and Irma, didn't you say that the prior program did not include labor? So we've got a lot of seniors who would like to do something with their yard, but they can't afford to have anybody come in and do the work.
Well, no, the prior program included labor if you used a contractor, which is typically more. But I mean, if the homeowner were providing the labor themselves, then yes, I mean they can't put a price to their hourly time that they put out in doing the yard themselves. But if a contractor were to be hired to do that, it would be eligible.
Okay. And this is just a flat $2 a square foot, material and labor, just regardless.
Yes.
Okay. Art, John, anything from you guys? Any questions?
Well, I had a comment because at one time when I was going to redo my front lawn during the drought, because of doing the labor myself, I wasn't eligible. So I think that still would hold, but it would I think it would incentivize maybe some of these people who had let their yards go by the wayside and like Irma said, beautify the. $1,000 does not go a long way, depending on whether you do it yourself or a contractor. Redoing the water part of it, make sure you have a valve to do that. That could cost you up to several $100s. And so by the time you get, remove your sprinklers, do all that, it's going to add up. So if you can incentivize the amount that people can use, and I think it's good. I mean, like I said, $1,000 is a lot, but at the $750 in today's terms and what's the market holding, it doesn't really go that far. So I think it would be something that would improve some of the neighborhoods that have fallen by the wayside. So I think if the Green Team and Irma get behind it, we'd see some changes.
And this is for residents and businesses, which is kind of nice because we have some businesses that
exactly
use some help too. Before we go on, I want to open it up for public comment. I don't have any speaker slips on this. Linda, have we received any speaker slips?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So bringing it back to council, John, did you have any comments or questions on this one?
No, it sounds like a winner, but maybe we could have 25 nice yards in a year, and I think it's a good investment. And
I think it would be a great investment. I would be really curious, since we haven't had any activity in this for the last couple of years, to see how many people utilize this opportunity, whether we stay at zero or whether people start saying, wait a minute, I could make my lawn look nicer too, my yard. Okay, so this is just giving you direction?
Well, direct and basically consent to move forward with the program.
Okay.
Or incorporate any suggestions that the council would like to see in the program.
Okay. Are there any other suggestions that we can add to this?
Just one. Just hoping, that we can get some support from the Green Team and really get out there to say, hey, whether they do it with a press announcement or something like that, that comes from the Green Team. That way the residents of Buellton know that this is available, and we're not in a total drought period, but, we didn't have a great year like we had the year before in water. Our numbers are a little bit down. Snowpack is down, but we will have a good increase in state water. But that also incentivize, hopefully, people to just what the program is going to be rebranded about. Make Buellton beautiful. So
I like that.
I will support it.
Okay, is that a motion?
I will make a motion then if that's what's needed.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
As stated, with the stipulation that the green team gets involved and really gets out there to get it working.
As a member of the green team, I will move forward with that. Yes.
Mayor, before we make a second on that, can I make another comment on this?
Absolutely.
I would like to see that there absolutely is oversight on this, because I wouldn't want it to be I would like to see some of these neighborhoods get cleaned up a little bit, but maybe there should be a lead person on this to make final approval on these. I don't know if that's going to be Scott or who, but
usually that's Rose, isn't it?
Well, we have been requiring, and we will still continue to require that the applicants come in with the site plan and show us the proposal and what they're going to be doing. And they need to get approval on that program before they start work. So they couldn't just landscape their yard and ask for money. So
I do remember that before too. We had one resident, I think it was on Kendall, who redid his front lawn, beautiful putting green, artificial turf, and then
I own one of those.
Came in with his bills and was told that since the plan had not been pre-approved, that he was not eligible for it. So it totally does have oversight, Dave. There is oversight.
Okay.
I had another suggestion if you have a minute. If we could have a sign, that this property has been, there's someone it's done a little thing that say this is part of the Buellton beautification program.
That's a good idea.
So and then it would sell itself. People say, "Oh, I want that."
That's true.
Great idea, John. Do I hear a second for approval on this?
I'll second.
Yeah, I'll second. Go ahead.
Okay, John or Dave, Linda?
Okay, I'll pick one. Let's see. Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Great idea.
Thank you, Irma.
Thank you, Irma. So now we go into our discussion and direction regarding the community cleanup program, and back to you, Irma.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Madam Mayor and so this next program actually came out of discussions that we were having as part of the rebranded rebate program. And the green team started talking about how I need some cleanup of more than just people's yards, that there are places around the community that could use some work, basically cleanup. One of the ideas that gained traction is really to implement a community cleanup program utilizing local volunteers. And when I started to write this up, I'll get into a little bit more of our discussions with the green team in a moment, but when I started to write this up, I realized that, going back to our vision plan in 2012, that creating a neighborhood enhancement program to organize neighborhoods and a district cleanup effort by volunteers was one of the objectives of Goal 4 in the vision plan. And another of the action items was to promote community involvement in volunteer efforts. And this program really speaks to both of those. So it's something that is really actually very important now, especially during this pandemic situation, where we would like to, encourage community involvement, and we were looking at ways of actually coming up with a program that people could do individually if there needed to be social distancing, but it would bring the community together. And the green team really discussed this, and they felt that having attractive residential, commercial neighborhoods, will really contribute to the whole feel of a community. And, as I mentioned in the staff report, it enhances economic development, including business viability and tourism, just having, that kind of effort in the community. So the options that were discussed at the most recent Green Team meeting in May were to organize community cleanup days starting this summer. And the activities we discussed were potentially a neighborhood by neighborhood cleanup effort, including potential tree planting, calling for the identification of specific areas that needed to be cleaned up, such as the freeway off-ramps, which I know we've had issues with in the past, some of the sidewalks, curbs and gutters. Some of our Green Team members felt that there may be appropriate to offer yard cleanup assistance for property owners that are physically impaired or considered vulnerable members of the community and unable to do the cleanup themselves. So the consensus of the Green Team was to bring this before City Council and to get direction from City Council to go forward with a pilot program this summer that would consider items such as scheduling the cleanup efforts in July and August, potentially 1 or 2 Saturdays each month, conducting a community survey to solicit cleanup project recommendations from the community, and also to enlist volunteers and project leaders. And this really is essential, because we would be relying on volunteers as well as identifying project leaders from within the volunteer group to lead these cleanup efforts. We thought that it would be a nice gesture for the community, for the city to organize a volunteer appreciation event for the volunteers to receive some sort of reward and of appreciation. And back when we were discussing this, we were a little bit further back in the stay-at-home orders and the distancing orders, and we weren't sure where we would be by Labor Day weekend, but we thought at a minimum we could provide vouchers to local food trucks or restaurants, and to just organize some sort of an appreciation event that could still maintain the social distancing and whatever guidelines are in place at that time. As part of calling for volunteers, we would ask that the volunteers bring some of their own tools if possible, but we thought it would be good to have available some tools and some supplies from the city if needed. And as a result of that, we thought that a nominal budget would be helpful for this. So the budget would go towards the rewarded vouchers and also for supplies as needed. So based upon the Green Team's consensus, staff is recommending that City Council consider allocating $2,500 to implement the proposed cleanup program, and if whatever funds are unspent remain in the budget. And if the 2020 community cleanup program is successful and well received by the community, future cleanup days may be scheduled. The recommendation is that City Council provide comments and direction to staff for implementing the program and allocate the $2,500 requested for the program this summer.
Thank you. Any questions for Irma from council before I open it to public comment?
No, ma'am.
I don't. Thank you, Councilman Andrusik. Councilmember Sanchez, any questions?
No, sounds good. Thank you.
Councilmember King, any questions? Vice Mayor, any questions?
No questions. Save them for comments.
Okay. I didn't hear from Councilmember King, but Linda, do we have any public comment tonight on this item?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Holly, I lost the signal for a minute. I'm back.
All righty, you're back. Do you have any questions regarding this cleanup program?
No, not at this time.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm closing public comment as we don't have any and bringing it back to council for discussion. Did you say, Vice Mayor, that you had some comments?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it'd be a great idea. The only thing what I would like to see is maybe allocating 1,500 instead of the 25, and see if we can get. I know this is the wrong time to see to get anybody to sponsor, but see if we could get a business, Marburg, or some of the other companies that do business here to help with this, and then see how it goes. I know when we had the Green Day, when I was on the Green team, we had a lot of people who would donate things. We would, when it gets advertised, sponsored by such and such and the city of Buellton. So I would look to see if we could, or Irma could get somebody to help sponsor this and allocate 1,500.
Okay. I know that handing out water is going to be very important. Maybe we could go to the casino. The Chumash are usually pretty good with water.
Exactly.
So, Councilmember King, your comments?
I was just going to piggyback on what Art said. The Borgatellos have always been really receptive to things like this when we do stuff. I mean, they have the bulk waste cleanup days, and I'm sure if you talk to Brian or any of those guys down there, that they'd be more than happy to help us out.
What do you think they could help provide to the city?
Haul away, any kind of cleanup. I'm sure if you ask them for a donation, they would say yes. If we're going to do like these major cleanup days, they could even dedicate a roll-off to clear away anything that we're cleaning up.
Okay. Okay. That's a good idea.
May I just, I couldn't hear the beginning of Mr. King's comment. Would that be Marburg that he's suggesting? Okay, thank you.
Yes, Marburg. They have always been really receptive in just about anything we want. As a matter of fact, let me just give you a note on this. I called and asked about Christmas tree haul away, and apparently the people down there told me that yes, we're doing it this day. I came home in the evening, and the trees were all still out there, and I called and talked to Mario Borgatello, and he sent somebody up that day to go through the whole town and pick them up. So they're very receptive to doing a lot of extracurricular projects.
Okay. Let's see. That was Mr. Councilmember Sanchez. Any comments?
Oh, yeah, it sounds like a good deal, and I think it's nice to ask people for the contributions, but I would go ahead with the 2,500 and just, if we don't spend it, then it's there, and if we needed it, we'd have it.
Goes back to general fund, huh?
Have a barbecue, maybe we'll have a barbecue, a thank you barbecue for the crew at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, 2,500 isn't, it goes pretty quick.
Yeah, that's what I would support that.
Thank you. And Councilman Andrusik, any comments from you?
I appreciate Art's comments, and I understand John's. If it improves the appearance of the city, it'll be well worth the $2,500.
Okay, so I've got 2 at 2,500, or 2 at 1,500, 3 at 2,500. Do we fight for a motion, or do we just make it 2,000?
No, Madam Mayor, I'll pitch in that 2,500.
I'll go 2,500.
Okay.
Like I said, if I know Marburg is great about doing things and helping out, so
if we can up it, that's even better. And
exactly.
if we make it appealing enough, we might have a really good turnout.
Exactly.
I know we've got a lot of community members who want to do things, and we just don't have anything organized. So was that Councilmember King's motion and Vice Mayor's second on that then?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Linda?
Okay, Councilmember King.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, slowly. Agenda item number 12. Thank you, Irma.
Thank you, Irma.
Number 12 is consideration of cost for the reconstruction of the flagpole on Median 2. Ms. Hess.
Actually, it's City Manager Wolf.
Ah,
Give me
okay.
1 moment. I wasn't ready for that. Here
I thought it was a typo.
Yeah, here I thought I was going to get away without doing that tonight.
Good try.
Yep, Rose lets me get away with nothing. Okay. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, item 12 before you this evening is a continuation of a discussion previously held by the City Council regarding the consideration of replacement of the flagpole that was removed from Median 2 with the original flagpole, which has been cut into pieces and removed from the site as the original contract anticipated that the pole would not be reused. There was some request on the part of the City Council members to reconsider that. Staff has prepared a potential schedule with a cost estimate of all the work that might be required in order to bring that pole back to Buellton, reassemble it, have it inspected and tested for structural stability, have the footings and foundation designed and installed, and then the installation of the pole itself. The work as it's anticipated here, or as it's scoped out currently, has a rather wide range, and it's a rather large number. The range that's been given to us is between $17,000 and $23,500. I will note that there are some potential savings that may be seen from this. We just don't know at this time. I think that the estimates that were given here were given in a very conservative fashion because we don't have much more than just a verbal description as to what the work we'd be looking for would entail. We don't have any plans at this point. We don't have any specs on the pole. And at this point, the pole has not been inspected. Additionally, there is a specification here for a geotechnical or soils report to be done in order to verify in order to help define how this footing and foundation needs to be set. That soils report may be able to be dispensed with, as we've done soils reports as part of the Median 2 project already, but until we have an opportunity to verify that those soils reports were done adequately to meet the needs of this particular project, we've gone ahead and included the amount in there. So we could see a decrease in this project of $5,000 very easily, especially if that soils report comes in as being adequate. In any event, there are there are a variety of options that the City Council can consider. Staff would be willing to discuss that with the Council at this point and take directions as appropriate. I know that at least one City Council member has got some ideas here that may wish to be discussed. If you'd wish to discuss that again, staff remains available for that. I'll conclude my report here, but I'll be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for our city manager?
No, ma'am.
Nothing from Dave King.
I'm good right now.
Art, John?
No questions.
Okay, Ed, any questions?
Not a question. I'm just trying to think outside the box maybe a little and find an alternative to getting where we could go.
Okay.
A heck of a lot cheaper than we're being asked to pay.
Okay. Before we get into a conversation, Linda, are there any public comments on this item?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So bringing it back to council for discussion and perhaps a decision. Ed, you want to start? Councilmember Andresic?
Yeah, okay. I've got an alternative idea because there's a whole lot of dirt been moving around. Island 1 there went away and it came back. I was surprised to see. I said, what happened to all the dirt? And I find out it's up the street. And there's a whole lot of money being spent moving our dirt around. And so I'm just thinking we need to try to control what we are spending because I was stunned with the cost of the one island that we've got. That's not even one of the big islands yet. So we're looking at a lot of future money if we're going to do what we asked the community to let us do. I know that when the poles when they were being addressed, when PG&E was redoing their lines, there was a time where they decided to take a pole down. I'm not sure where it is. Maybe John could put some timeline to it or what went on. But one of the hinges, it was either rusted out or broke or it couldn't work, and they wound up putting a new hinge in. And I think the poles have been very well. They're being utilized well, and I think we're getting all of the use that we've had for several years out of it. And that was so. The discussion was maybe we could just have M&S do the flagpole concrete for the flagpole hinge, and we deal with it when we know better what we're looking at, because there's a lot of variation in these numbers. Estimated 317 to 23. It seems like we should be able to fine tune that or all be in agreement that that's a good use of the money. And if we wind up spending that kind of money on, let's just say someone says, oh, I sense a structural decay there. Are we going to get drug into another $17,000 or $23,000 expense to take care of our flagpoles? And John's, I don't know if there's anyone else on the dais here that has had more experience with the functionality of the flagpoles. I know I've been around 46 years and watched them being properly handled, and I don't think they've ever given us any worry. They've always served us well the way they were designed, and I would like us to. My first comments tonight and council comments was I'd like us to take a look at this and just if for the sake of moving the avenue improvements forward, have M&S put the foundation in, and we can take it from there once we get down an island or two, or whenever it's appropriate, so we know what we're dealing with. I think we're being asked to wait and see, and oh, by the way, we may have a structural this or that, and I don't think I would buy a flagpole that way.
Thank you very much. Councilmember King, any comments? I'm holding John off to the end because he's got the knowledge. She's got the knowledge, so we can give our thoughts and he can come back and answer them. So, Councilmember King.
No, ma'am. That's what I'm waiting for.
Okay.
So you want to reserve your answer?
Yeah. Vice Mayor Mercado, any comments?
I'll kind of reserve, but I had a question for Rose. When we budgeted the construction work, was it noted at that time that the flagpole was not functional and that it had become a liability?
No, so the issue was, as part of the design for Median 2, The original plans included removal of the 50-foot flagpole, and we had two 30-foot flagpoles to replace it. And when we brought that to council, the direction was, no, we don't like the 30-foot flagpole. We're going to put a 50-foot. We want the 50-foot flagpole. So at that point, when we were reviewing everything, and then with the issue with replacements and the maintenance and everything else, we ordered and spec'd out a brand new flagpole. And so that was what had been included since that first meeting in the plans and in the budget. Correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Rose, how much did we pay for the new flagpole?
I believe that line item in the bid was, it was just over $10,000.
Okay, so we do have a flagpole, which we could put at Village Park. I mean, we could find a location for the flagpole if we wanted to use it somewhere else.
Correct.
But we do have a flagpole handy.
Correct.
Okay. If everybody's talked, I'd like to hear from Councilmember Sanchez, who knows this flagpole better than anybody else in the group.
You're correct. We actually welded the hinge that was on that flagpole had been welded, and it was lowered in February last year. In the meantime, I did find another flagpole. It's the exact same flagpole, and it's on Industrial Way. And I'd like to give permission for Scott to negotiate getting one that does not have to be welded. My only concern was the engineers decided that they had to have that structurally investigated as well, if it's the exact same pole. And then I think the pouring of the foundation, I think would have already been in the bid. They had to pour a foundation for a pole. And the geotechnical thing and soils testing for a different one, I think should all have been covered cost-wise.
So the flagpole you found on Industrial is a Chris Clibo flagpole, and it's approximately the same height?
Yeah, it's the exact same pole.
Okay. And perhaps we could either purchase it from this business or even offer them a brand new $10,000 flagpole to replace it.
Trade them.
Trade them.
There's different options of that, but I'd just like to. I've already talked to the guy about getting it, and it's something that we could have to replace it. It would be a matter of picking it up and moving it, and into the new. On the new pedestal, and the pedestal, I believe, I don't know what's different between the new pedestal and what would be the old pedestal for the old flag, but it should be about the same cost. I wouldn't think it would be an extra cost. But I just, my idea would just forward it to another meeting, and after we can work on negotiating that, and see if they come up, It's just an option, and then I still think we should have the old flagpole. The other thing is if we check the old flagpole, like for integrity and steel and all that we have to know, then at least we would know that all the other flagpoles would be in as good a shape, and it would be, a peace of mind that we would have when we'd have 8 flagpoles that we wouldn't have any problem. I don't think there's anything integrity-wise for the metal, but I'm not a metallurgist guy, So.
Okay, so you would like to at least spend the $800 to have the 3 pieces of the flagpole transported to our wastewater treatment plant. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we could use the pole maybe at the next part, but we still would need to know if the pole has the integrity.
Well, maybe we don't need a 50-foot pole and we can just weld 2 pieces together.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
30 feet.
That was rude. I'm terribly sorry. That was uncalled for. Is it possible for the city manager and maybe public works director to go investigate this other flagpole?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we'd be happy to do that. I do just want to caution the council, or just give you a little bit of advance warning here. While the reconstruction of the flagpole and all the testing and such that's involved in that may total upwards of $10,000, some of the work that's required as part of the scope that we're looking at here tonight would still be required in order to build the new foundation and footing for that flagpole at the new site. So it wouldn't be as simple as picking up the flagpole that's still in one piece and moving it over to median 2, because in all likelihood the foundation that's been designed already for the flagpole that's been purchased would need at least to be evaluated for its adequacy for the older pole, the steel pole. I think it's conceivable that moving from an aluminum pole, a foundation that's been designed for an aluminum pole, to placing a steel pole on it, there may be some different requirements. So there will be some costs involved. It's not quite as simple as picking it up and moving it, but there could be some considerable cost savings involved. It's just going to depend on what needs to be done in order to replace the flagpole from the location it's currently at, whether we need to redesign and rebuild a footing for that. There's just a lot of questions to be asked. But yeah, I would be happy to work with the Public Works Director here, and investigate our options, and come back to the City Council at an upcoming meeting with some estimates for a couple different options the City Council can consider.
Terrific. And we are in no great hurry. I mean, I know this has come before us a couple times, but there is no hurry on this item.
Well, the median 2 project.
Can we have it by Flag Day?
No.
Will it be ready by Flag Day?
No, it will not. The median 2 project is moving forward. There are some delays. I think there's at least a small delay that's occurring due to some work by PG&E. And while the flagpole certainly could be looked at as a critical path item, because we no longer have the open streets event occurring when it was scheduled to occur, I believe, in late September, early October of this year. I don't know that it would be a big problem to push that completion date of construction out a little bit if it took us a little more time to come to conclusion on this particular issue. So we'll do the best we can at moving this along at a good pace and try and maintain schedule as best we can. We'll bring it back to the City Council and await direction from you at that time.
Thank you. Is that acceptable for everybody?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Sure.
And just in this common part of it, if we still get stuck with that $10,000 aluminum one, we can put it at our new project at the Williamson and have a flag there. And
isn't there a flag there?
I don't know.
I don't know. We can go take a look.
And we can put a little monument thanking the Williamsons.
Yes. Absolutely.
Williamson.
Yes.
The Willems.
Willem.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Art.
We can include the disposition of the flagpole that's been ordered amongst the options that we bring back to the City Council.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we have a direction on this one again? Yes.
Thank you for your patience.
Okay, no, we want to do it right. Moving on to number 13, resolution number 20-16, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, for the purpose of mid-cycle budget amendments related to fiscal year 2020-2021. Chanel?
Madam Mayor, City Council members. Tonight I have the revised proposed fiscal year 2021 budget amendments. At the last meeting, May 28, 2020, Council made some recommendations, and staff also looked at the budget to see where we can cut. In particular, we pushed back a lot of capital projects to have some savings in the budget. Among some of the staff recommendations or City Council recommendations that we looked at was travel and training. We looked at the memberships. I think Councilmember King had talked about. I did go through and try to see where we can save I didn't find that much, but I was able to find 4,321 budget savings in travel and training throughout the budget. I was able to cut $503 on membership and publications. And the reason I didn't really cut much of this is because there is a lot of value in travel, or not in travel, but in the training and membership. A lot of these organizations that staff belongs to provides us with the tools that we need to do our job. And so do these trainings. I know I've been fortunate to be part of CSMFO and GFOA, and through this whole COVID-19, they've been having a lot of meetings. So I've learned a lot and was able to implement a lot of what I learned into the budget. So wherever I could find some saving based on past data, or maybe some conferences, like I gave up 1,000 in mine, so I kind of limit it so for people to take turns each year to go to something. Try to do that. I think in water, yes, it was in water, cut 3,000 for travel and training for a total of 9,000, and we'll see how that will take us this year. And there was little minor things as well. There was a computer for city council. I dropped that down to 3,000, and again, that was based on a comment that was made that maybe you guys don't need all 3 computers or 3 laptops, so just kind of gave some money available for possible 2 laptops if needed. Contract services, non-departmental, drop that down 19,200 to remove the satisfaction survey. And one thing that we did not discuss last meeting was the contract services for the library with the city of Goleta. On the proposed budget on May 28th, we had left it at 195,000. I bumped that up to 215,000. It may be a little less than that, but at this time, we do not have the number, correct, Scott?
That's correct.
So it could be a little bit lower than that, but that's just a placeholder. So if it does come back lower, then we're good. But we don't anticipate it will be greater than that. And then another big decrease was $60,000 to the contribution to the Visitors Bureau. They're going to have about a $60,000 credit in their contract that will come to council next council meeting, I believe. And then so like I mentioned, the biggest savings was in capital improvement projects. We were able to work together and cut 2.6 in capital budgets. Some of that budget savings has to do with the fact that we pushed budgets back 1 year. Some of that has to do with some project in particular, the Avenue of the Flags project. When we went to council last time, about $50,000 was estimated for the construction costs, and that was just year to date because we hadn't seen any bills from the contractor until 2 weeks ago. So that was reflected on there. And then we can go into detail with those capital projects. But one thing I want to note is that I emailed you guys revised fund balance summaries. Mayor Sierra had a question on why the fund balance, went down more than $1 million from the last time. And what I found is that fund balance spreadsheet for general fund was double counting the 600,000 allocation for the Avenue of the Flags project. And you're just looking at the 2019-20 estimates. So that only affects the beginning balance of the fund balance for 2021. The rest of the budget numbers, there was no issues on that.
Okay, just a quick interruption. I just need to clarify. So 2 weeks ago, when the beginning fund balance for July 1st, 2020 was $18,794,338, and then on this agenda item, it shows that we're starting our balance at $17,150,471, which is a $1,643,867 difference in the 2 weeks. That 1.643 million is Avenue of Flags.
No, 600,000 of that is Avenue of Flags.
600,000. Okay.
600,000. So if that was doubled, the general fund was overstated by 600,000. And again, that's just the 2019-20 estimates, which again are all estimates, and that will be corrected when the final budget is.
So what does the total fund balance? It says 17,150,471. I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance when you sent me the paperwork. It was too late to go through it, and I should have caught this before today. What is our total fund balance going into as of today, starting on 7/1/2020?
Let me give you that real quick. I have the general fund, but let me give you the total.
Yeah, the general fund was off 1,160,000. So 600,000 is almost half of the difference there.
So now it's 16,550,471.
So it's even less than the 1.643 difference. It's worse than that.
Oh, I did the wrong sign. And that's how the issue happened in the Excel spreadsheet, which is why I double counted.
Yeah. I mean, I truly appreciate all the cuts and everything, but this has me really nervous approving a budget that changes so drastically in 2 weeks.
So just adding 600,000, so it'd be 17,750,471.
Okay, so it's off about $1 million then from 2 weeks ago.
And again, that was all based on estimates for this current fiscal year. And I know you don't feel comfortable, so what we can do is bring it back on June 25th. And as we pay more expenditures in the next 2 weeks, we can have final numbers or final predictions on what the end of the fiscal year will look like for those capital projects.
I think we've done about all the budget cutting we can do, and I appreciate that. And maybe council, the rest of council, it's a council decision. Maybe they're ready to move forward with it. I would appreciate the waiting till the 25th to look at this fund balance report and get my head wrapped around the $1 million discrepancy. I mean, it's not a discrepancy; it's money that's been spent. But I've added up some of these numbers, but they don't add up. I don't fully understand it yet. And I know you do. You've got this computer brain and you know everything, but it's still not really clear to me. Gentlemen, any questions? Do you want Chanel to just go on then with her report?
Yeah, and I don't have a problem waiting until the 25th. I agree. That way, we'll have 2 more weeks of expenditures, and then we'll have a better idea of where we're totally at.
And that's got to be close. That by then you can't spend any more money because the year's up. It'll be in next year's.
Exactly.
Okay.
And our budget is what was it they used to say? It's a breathing, living object, and it can be changed at any time. And I get that, but it's breathing too much for me right now.
You want to harness?
So, Chanel, do you want to go ahead and finish up where all the changes have been made?
Yeah, if we go to the capital projects, they start on page 200. We can start there.
Way back there.
Yes.
Yeah, very end.
Okay.
Okay, so once we're ready, I can start.
You said 200, right?
Yes, page 200.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, so on project 102, the storm drain project, when we had come back to council 2 weeks ago, we had 40,000 allocated, and we decided we can push that project to the following fiscal year. So now we have nothing budgeted there. So went from 40,000 to zero.
Okay.
Project 201, there was no change. Project 207, there was no change. 211, there was no change. 214, the City Hall emergency generator, we had proposed 40,000 and we decided to push that back. So now it's zero. And so here's the biggest one, Project 215, Avenue of Flags. So the proposed is now for project management 150,000 versus 270,000. 1,288,273 versus 787,773. And again, that difference is because we paid the invoices in the last 2 weeks. So we went ahead and deducted that from next year, since we paid it this current fiscal year versus next.
So we're not spending any less. We've just spent it before.
Yeah, we spent it. Correct. And that's why the fund balance is lower now in those 1920 estimates.
So we're not really saving any money because it's the same money. It's,
It's just being spent now versus spending it next year.
Got it.
So that's why that went down. Again, it's not saving money, but we're spending that money now. And then Project 217, that's no change. That is the Riverview Park basketball court resurfacing. Project 2.
We're going ahead. We are going ahead with that one.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, that would be a low priority project that we could not start on until later in the year as necessary if we do have funds to move forward with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's no change to Project 218. Project 306, we had proposed 150, I believe. Now it's zero because the project is complete and we don't expect any more expenditures next fiscal year.
That's part of the difference in the fund balance, right?
Yes, correct.
That was paid.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Project 307, I believe there was McMurray Road widening. We carried over what the original 2020-21 project. We actually pushed that back 1 year. And basically, we just rolled over the whole project 1 year. So whatever the 1920 budget was, we rolled it over to the new 2021 fiscal year. So if you can see the 1920 budget, there was 50 for design and permitting. We have expended about 30, so now we're budgeting 20, and right-of-way acquisition 150,000. So the project management and construction improvements, that's going to be pushed back one fiscal year.
Okay.
That was 600,000 in savings for next year.
Wonderful.
And then Project 308, there was no change. Project 311, no change. Project 314. So originally we had 300,000, but after talking to Rose, it was actually 150,000. The project is in 2 phases. The first phase is supposed to end by June 30th, and the second phase is supposed to start in July 2020. And they're both for 150,000.
Now we haven't spent that 150,000. That'll be spent probably in the next couple weeks then?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay.
And Project 315, there's no change there. There was 0. Project 317, no change. 318, so this was the big $2 million construction cost for road maintenance project 2019-20. Oh no, that's the next one. So 318, what we did here is design and permitting has been extended this current fiscal year, 19-20. Whatever saving was from that line item was rolled over with the $75,000 of project management. And then we kept the construction cost the same at $325,000 for a total of $418,600. And then 319, that's the big road project, which is the industrial and McMurray Road. What we decided to do is split that project between fiscal year 2020-21 and 21-22. So that's kind of helping as far as cash flows. And then we could revisit this next year again at the budget cycle.
Good.
And project 401, there was no change. Project 603, no change. Project 607, no change. 608, no change. Project 609, we are pushing that project back 1 year. That is the supplemental well water treatment plant feasibility. And project 610, there's also no change. And 704, there's no change. And 706, there's no change. So that kind of concludes all the changes. If you have any questions or comments, you can go ahead and ask me.
Wonderful. Does anybody have any questions for Chanel?
No.
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 None, huh?
No.
Wow, you guys are
Chanel,
good.
did Chanel send you? Is it today? When did you send us the
It was
report?
today right before 5.
Oh, okay.
There was, no time
So
to
it'll
really
be,
go.
we'll see it tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to conserve paper, so I didn't print out this budget. I just had the last meeting's budget. So I was just comparing apples and oranges with the numbers, and that's what kind of freaked me out a little bit. But I'm hoping, if it's okay with you guys, that in the next 2 weeks I will be a lot more diligent, and I will not wait until the day before the meeting to start looking at this. But I truly appreciate. It looks like every department made cuts to get the fund, our expenses down. Rose, you took the biggest hit of all, and of course you had the most money going out. But I truly appreciate that. One thing I love about our city hall is that everybody rolls up their sleeves and they all work as a team. And sometimes council can ask a lot, and you always come through for us. So I appreciate that. I don't know really where you could make any more cuts. I just need to see the fund balance report, because it gets smaller and smaller before our end of the year, and our revenue is not changing. The revenue's the same, but the expenses. So when we talk about saving $3 million in costs, and our beginning balance is $1 million down, well, that's really $4 million then. Anyway, it's going to take me a couple days to figure it all out. Linda, do we have any public comments on our agenda item?
No, ma'am, we don't.
Okay. Any comments from council?
I have a question.
Just to thank Chanel for an outstanding job, and the rest of the staff as well. I mean, look at our.
I'd just like to see this come back with plan.
Yeah, and John, you had a question?
Yeah, I was wondering about the arts and culture budget. Earlier, they said that $27,000 left, and I was wondering if that was going to roll over into the next year.
No, that is not.
It does not? Okay.
No, that's not rolling over.
Okay.
Unless council decides to roll over whatever is unspent, we could do that.
Well, I think maybe this year we should not, but in future years, I'd really like it to roll over so that if we decide to build a huge monument to Chris Clibo or Jake Will and Jeanette Williamson, that we actually would have funds in arts and culture to do something that might cost more than the $50,000. But I'm not sure that this is a good year to do that.
Amen.
I just appreciate that we still have arts and culture going next year. So I'll take that. So that was your question, John. Dave, you had a comment that kind of got muffled. Councilman King?
Keep on.
Yeah, no, in its final version, then we can really hammer out kind of what you were talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to know what we're truly looking at for our next fiscal year, and I still don't have a handle on it yet. So I appreciate it.
To that end, Madam Mayor, if I can just, at the end of the last budget discussion, I was kind of the cheerleader and tried to talk the council into not seeing it quite as badly as it might seem to be. This time I'm going to go the opposite direction, I think, just to kind of stabilize things a little bit.
No!
I'm sorry. Kind of what I'm here for. Waiting a couple
Get
weeks.
closer to the microphone.
I'm sorry. Waiting a couple weeks, we will get a better picture for what the end of the year expenditures look like. But at the end of the fiscal year, we do tend to see a lot of these expenditures come in. A lot of invoices come in that the city will pay. So even by the 25th, even though there's only 5 days left in the fiscal year, we will still be paying out funds after that date. And that could go on well into the next fiscal year. I believe, Chanel, we have updates for 2 months, 60 days after, or 90 days?
August 31st is our cutoff.
So we're not likely to know the true picture at the time that the next fiscal year begins. But one way to think about this, even though we're looking at starting the fund balance lower than what we expected it to start at, and it may seem depressing, what we're seeing here is the fund balance starting lower generally is due to the fact that we're paying on projects in this fiscal year versus next fiscal year. That means that the fund balances should end about the same as they would have at the end of the next fiscal year, because that's less money being spent next fiscal year because it's being spent this one. So even though it looks worse at the beginning of the year, by the time the end of the next fiscal year rolls around, it should all balance out.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
And the 31st won't change. That's the date.
Yeah, we only have a 60-day cutoff.
Okay.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And Chanel, thank you for all of your very hard work and for dealing with council. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. So just to clarify, all the 2021 numbers you're good with, and you just want me to come back with updated 2019 20 estimates as much as we can, estimate those, and I can bring back a full budget.
I'd like to see the fund balance report.
Okay.
And when the changes that have been made, if there's some kind of a list, it's gone from this number to this number because we've paid this out, and it's gone from this number to this number because we paid for median 2 or for McMurray Road. Is that's you can do that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. That's
yeah. And again, like Scott was saying, a lot of this is we don't really know. The good thing though is for the Avenue of Flags, we have received the invoice through May 31st, so really we only have 1 month to estimate. And that's what's reflected in this current budget.
And that was the $500,000.
Yes.
So far.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Moving on to city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I just have one item to highlight this evening. It's been a really busy couple of weeks. A lot's gone on, but I think that all I want to call out this evening is the fact that we received notification a couple of days ago that the governor and our county public health have agreed that Santa Barbara County is ready to move into phase 3 of the resiliency roadmap, which will open even more businesses to include things like gyms and health clubs. There's a few other ones, movie theaters, bowling alleys, if we had one, could be allowed. Obviously, social distancing requirements are still in place, but these types of businesses that have been closed for so long are now able to reopen. Wine and beer tasting rooms, bars and such that don't serve food are now back on the list of things, businesses that are okay to open. I would point any businesses that are looking to reopen. This does start as of 8 o'clock tomorrow morning on Friday. And before opening can take place, they will need to visit the county public health website and go through the attestation process to go through a minimal amount of training and certification that they are going to implement a required social distancing plan and sanitizing plan and all the things that the county public health is going to require in order to ensure that businesses are operating safely. That is publichealthsbc.org, if I'm not mistaken, is the website, and business owners can go there. If they have any questions, they can call City Hall. We'll point them in the right direction. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions the council has, but I'll conclude my report.
Thank you. I think either you can announce it or Rose can, a grant that she applied for.
I will let Rose announce that.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The city has been working with the county and the city of Solvang regarding a San Ynez Valley bicycle education outreach program, and that's working with SB Bike and the other bicycle coalitions. It was a project that the county staff had applied for through the North County Measure A Safe Routes to Schools, but unfortunately was not funded. But at the same application time, the city of Buellton said that they would partner and submit the application to take lead for a grant through the state's Office of Traffic Safety. So we did receive notification yesterday that we have a preliminary award of $40,000, which is a large amount to help kick off the entire program for the Valley, particularly without the Measure A funds to move forward. And that still needs to be approved, of course, through the state. But pending that, we will be working with the state and our partners on the MOU and the grant agreement, and that should move forward this summer for release in the fall.
Madam Mayor, Rose,
yes.
what office was that with the state office of?
Office of Traffic Safety.
Thank you.
Good job, Rose. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rose.
Okay, so with that, Greg?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The council will now adjourn into closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 for potential initiation of litigation.
Thank you very much. Linda, what's that phone number? I didn't see it.
I will email it to you.
Perfect. Thank you. We are going into closed session. Take a quick 5-minute break, give or take, and we'll see y'all in a couple minutes. Thank you.